Thank you so much for chatting today, Adam. I really appreciate the conversation so far. So like I said, we'll jump into several of these questions that Lembrook would like to have answered on the video. So thank you so much for being willing to do this.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right. So first question, tell me about yourself and what is your why? Why do you work?
So, my name's Adam Alvarez. I am here in Atlanta, Georgia. I've lived all over the country. I've been in staffing for 20 years. Kind of fell into it backwards. I was originally a network engineer, got into staffing as a stopgap after a recession and absolutely fell in love with it and have been doing it ever since. My why, my son is grown. My wife and I are, looking to the future and want to, do a little traveling. But my why is I love what I do, and I actually enjoy getting up and going to work every day. In the right environment, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But yeah, just providing a good life for my family. That's my biggest why.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Tell me about a time you've had to take a look at some data, whether it be reporting or in the applicant tracking system, to make a recommendation. Which company were you at the time? What did you uncover and what was your recommendation?
So while I was with, ironically, Ronstad, I worked with the company Hologic, and we were the internal temporary staffing partner there at Hologic. We worked hand in hand with human resources business partners in identifying and fulfilling needs on both a contractual basis and sometimes on a full-time basis. One of the things we place a lot of people within the manufacturing and order fulfillment teams. And that had a heavy turnover. And it wasn't due to work environment or culture or anything like that. It was just that particular skill set had a tendency to turn over a little bit more quickly than, say, higher level roles. So I took a look at, what was our time to, once the position opened, time to fill. And realize, it can take up to a week, and a week without a head count is very challenging for that type of environment. So working with the HR business partners and leaders, we started building a backlog, or what we call a pipeline, of candidates proactively, so that if somebody just up and quit, which typically sometimes we wouldn't necessarily get a 2-week notice, they just stopped showing up. We had people in the pipeline that we could call up. Sometimes they'd been screened already by the hiring manager, and they would say, hey, call up Emmy and see if she's interested in coming in and starting with us tomorrow. And that's, so that was something I looked at as a way to shorten the time to fill, right? That was something that was important. So we started doing that. Yeah. That's one thing that comes to mind, although I've been doing that throughout my entire career.
Sure. That makes perfect sense. And Hologic is a healthcare organization, right?
Yes, they are. They make mammography machines, testing equipment,
Okay.
Women's health across the board. They're
Okay.
the world leader in women's health.
Awesome. Walk me through what steps you feel are included in being a full cycle recruiter.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, obviously you have to have stuff to work on. So it's identifying, opportunities throughout the organization. So, at Hologic, what we would have to do is we would go out, we would identify needs by meeting with hiring managers, finding out, hey, not only what do you have right now, but what do you foresee coming up in the near future, so that we can prepare properly. Then you put on the recruiting hat and you go out, and once you identified the position, the needs, you take that position, you create a job description if they don't have one already, working with that hiring manager to understand what's important. You create that job description, you post it, and then you start going through the various channels, whether it be job boards, LinkedIn, internal applicant tracking system, posting it to the company website, all of those things. Once you've identified the candidates, you do an initial screen with that candidate, make sure that are they aligned with not only the technical skills that we know of with the manager, but do they match the cultural skills of this organization, of our company. And then from there, you coordinate an interview goes well. you get an offer, you send out, the offer goes out. I would send out an offer letter detailing what we were offering, benefits, all that good stuff. Run any background investigations that need to be run through the various background tools that we used. Get out first day reporting instructions, meet them for the first day, walk them in, introduce them to the manager face to face, make sure that everything goes off without a hitch. And then from there, I always like to follow up for the first week and month, just making sure, hey, how was your first week? How did the first day, first week, and first month? And then from there, go from there, and they're kind of off to the races. So that to me is a full life cycle recruiting.
That's what it is to me as well.
Good.
All right. Tell me about a time you had to help a hiring manager think about things differently.
Right. So, hiring managers, they know what they want, right? They maybe it's a previous employee that they had that set the bar, and that employee maybe went above and beyond. Maybe they had maybe they have a need where they want two different skill sets in one person. Maybe their rate expectation isn't in line to what the market bears. I've had to go to hiring managers and sit down and be realistic with them and say, hey, based on what we're looking for here, here's what we can do, right? And one instance comes to mind where a manager was looking for a network engineer and had a bill rate that was aligned with what the actual pay rate is. So to give you an idea, they were looking to pay about $30 less than what the market bears. And I had to educate that manager. And what we decided to do was lower the expectation of what we're looking for, get somebody that's more trainable, and raise the bill rate a little bit. And we worked on that. We found the right person, and that person grew into what he wanted them to by working with the team. So it was a win-win for everybody. We found the right candidate. The candidate got training, got the money he was looking for, and the manager got somebody who grew into the position in a very short amount of time. That's just one example of times.
It sounds like you guys kind of met each other halfway, which I think is good from a compromise standpoint. I love that. What are you looking for in a new position?
I am looking for a company that will provide me challenge, that will keep me busy, that values the opinions of its employees and its team, a diverse workforce, on site, at least part of the time. That's something that's important to me, as we discussed earlier. Those are the things that are important to me at this point in my career.
Wonderful. What skills do you have that qualify you for this position?
As I said, I've been doing this for 20 years. I started out, just being a straight up IT recruiter, specifically network. As my career grew, I learned different skill sets. I ended up leading my sector or my team vertical at Tech Systems, which grew into leading all of recruiting for New England and retention program. And then from there, I've been in a leadership role with always having a hand in recruiting. I've never stopped recruiting. I love to recruit. I feel it's a fantastic skill to have. So, it's meeting with hiring managers, do that all the time. Qual calls, qualifying requirements, writing job descriptions. I do that every day. Because a lot of times our salespeople will come in with some notes and say, hey, here's what I have. Can you find me a person for this? And I'll take that. I'll take those notes. If we have the opportunity to get on a call with a manager, I'll take notes. And from those notes, I will create a job description. I create screening questions for my team as well as myself, with answers. I've screened tens of thousands of candidates. I've placed thousands of people throughout the last 20 years. Those are some of the things that I've done throughout my career that I feel make me qualified for this position.
I agree. What type of work environment do you thrive in? You kind of touched on it.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I am better equipped in an environment around people. I can be remote. I have been remote since March of 2020, utilizing tools such as this to meet with my team and other people within the organizations that I've worked within. But I just feel like being around people, that's an environment I like. I feel it brings a certain amount of energy. I don't need to be held accountable. I hold myself accountable, but it's just the people piece of it is such an important part of what we do on a day-to-day basis. There are some people who really enjoy being remote and don't want to ever go back into the office again. And, good for you. For me, it's the opposite.
Sure. That makes sense. And what do you find challenging about your current position, whether it's good or bad?
Challenging. So, unfortunately, the organization I work with is fantastic. Great culture, great environment, great people. The challenge that I would say we face is, our owner and founder has worked with a specific client for the past 15 years. She started her company 5 years ago and hasn't really grown it outside of this client. So 95% of our business comes from this client. If this client's slow, we're slow. I would say the challenge I've had is that she's finally starting to see is going outside of the organization, finding new business outside of that organization, hiring an additional sales force to go out and develop new relationships so that we don't run into these problems in the future. That's would say one of my biggest challenges. When the client's slow, we're slow. When the client's busy, we're busy.
You have less control over your destiny.
Right.
Well, I really appreciate the conversation, Adam. I will stop recording and we will wrap up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Of course.